So Tycoon has added in the brand new submarines, and this has to be a very requested update from the whole entire community. However, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinions previously, this update has actually done more bad than good. In today's video, guys, I will be giving you like a lot of different reasons on what actually sucks about this update and what could have actually been done a lot better to just make it so much better than what it currently is, because right now it really did create a huge amount of issues for the game. So the first issue which I do actually have with this update is how you can just literally submerge underwater forever and just stay there. The way in which most games actually like to balance out such a feature is actually just adding an oxygen meter, basically telling you guys how long you can stay underwater, which is obviously going to be a set amount of time until you have to actually go up and get some oxygen itself. I know in real life you can actually stay underwater for way longer, however in games a lot of devs like to actually balance it in this specific way, and the fact that this wasn't implemented really does kind of suck, because it literally just allows you to camp under the water the whole time with absolutely no punishment at all. I feel like there needs to be a counterbalance. The second issue which I also do have with this update is how the TV missile simply works on the Los Angeles submarine. You can literally just submerge underwater and you can just fire these missiles once again without being punished at all, and that's going to be very important because we can literally just press F and basically scout around the whole map and catch basically any target, because if you guys are going to be at higher FPS, then these TV missiles are actually going to be way faster as well, and that's actually a current bug which we have in the game. It's like basically the TV missile gets faster the higher FPS you get, which is really annoying because it means that you guys will not be able to really have as much of a chance if your device will just end up running a lot slower, which really just puts a lot of mobile players at a disadvantage and allows the PC players to just overall be in a better playing field. And right now as I record, my FPS is obviously going to be lower, and as you guys seen, the TV missile is actually pretty slow. However, if you are on much higher FPS at around something like maybe 90 to 120, then you're pretty much just going to be in a spot where your TV missile will catch planes without a problem. And this is once again very annoying because the planes have no way to escape, and I think the best way to actually balance the TV missiles is just going to be adding a trail which you guys will get to see once the missile is kind of following you, so you know where the missile is coming from, but you also know it actually exists, so you can try to pull off some kind of dodge. Now the next issue is a little bit shorter, however I still do not understand why this wasn't made, and that's going to be the fact that this update basically introduced submarines without adding a single counter to them, and this does feel very stupid. Obviously we do have counters such as the white trail, but this is kind of useless because when you do actually manage to get a little further away from the opponent, the white trail is basically going to be basically gone. So let me actually get a little further. As you guys can see, if I'm at this distance, then the white trail basically disappears, and there is absolutely no counter to. Obviously you do have stuff like the J-36 and the Dassault Rafale, but the thing is, this is not really a clear counter. Like, the ships are supposed to be good counters to submarines, and same with some other helicopters. However, we really do not have a clear one, which feels really weird. I don't know why they didn't add a clear counter before this update even came in, because we have things which actually do counter the ships which were added in the game once the Zimwalt actually came out. So why didn't we have this with the submarines themselves? Now the next issue which I also have is going to be the negative impact on the meta that this update actually makes, and that's going to be that you guys are basically forced to be using specific vehicles to even have a chance of finding their submarines and having a chance to even fight at all, because you either want to get a plane which will be able to somewhat find the submarine if you're going to be looking around the whole map, or you have to literally use a plane which will not be able to die to the TV missile itself. Like, all of the helicopters in this game basically get one-tapped. The only planes which don't get one-tapped is going to be the F-35 and the V-22 Osprey, but that's going to be literally about it. And it's actually very sad because it forces you guys to be using specific vehicles to even get a chance to play the game. Like, right now I've been seeing so many more tanks being used recently, and this is a good thing because the tanks do not actually take as much damage from the TV missiles themselves, and the submarines are not as much of a danger for them. But the fact is, you are basically forced to use a specific vehicle type to even get a chance to play the game. Like, this basically takes away from the diversity of the game because you are unable to use other vehicles which you deem to have a lot of fun with. Now my next issue which we have with the submarines is going to be an unhealthy progression system, and I bet a lot of people don't understand this, so let me make this very clear for you guys. We have the submarine section, so we have ourselves the Losos and the Los Angeles. The Losos is going to be our tier 0 vehicle, which is a starter, but then we're going up to get the Los Angeles class submarine. As you guys have already seen with other vehicles, if you want to grind something like the USS Independence, we're never going to be using the Barracuda for it. We're going to be using the PGO2, we're going to be using the Douglas and all the other vehicles. Or for example, if we go 2 tanks and we want to grind for something like the KF-51 Panther, the Challenger, and the T-14, we have the tier 2 vehicles and tier 1 vehicles, which are much easier to get, which we get first, which will actually help us do the challenge much more efficiently. However, with the submarines themselves, we only have 2 vehicles, which basically forces you to grind for a tier 3 with a tier 0, which makes this process incredibly long. However, they had to do this because the Los Angeles class is just an insanely powerful vehicle, so they didn't really have any other choice than making the challenge super hard to get. And yes, this challenge is absolute hell, but I literally had to do it. I feel like if this update just gave us an extra submarine, which was like tier 1 or tier 2, which is kind of the in-between submarine between the trash and the OP, I feel like this meta would have just been so much better off. Now, the next issue which I also have is that we basically make the ships absolutely useless. I've already made a dedicated video on this, by basically all the previous ships which are already in a very bad state are pretty much just in an even worse state than what they were before. So what's even the point of using the ships anymore? What's the point of spending $20 to $30 to buy something like the Zumwalt, which will have absolutely no use in this meta? If someone just has a submarine, then, well, you're pretty much dead. You won't even know where they are. You don't have a sonar on this. You don't have depth charges. Like, I just wish these features were added first. Now, the next issue which I also have with this update is how the cruise missiles were actually executed. In my opinion, the way in which the AI actually works in this game is you basically shoot them up and then the missile will just basically stand there until a target is going to be near. Why can't you have something like lock-on missiles, or why can't you make these missiles work like the Abrams X drones? Basically fire them forward and they'll go forward until they find the target, but instead you just fire them up and they're not really doing anything except for just sitting there. And by the way, they also follow the target very slow, so for the most part they're just gonna end up being absolutely useless. So really the most use you're ever gonna get out of the Losos class is having the submarines which will counter the boats and submarines. So I don't really like this fact either, because why would you have a level 0 submarine as well, which will be able to counter some of the most powerful vehicles in the game? You never see yourself countering the Zumwalt or countering the F-35 while using a Mustang, so why does the Losos counter something like the Los Angeles with 4 of its torpedoes? Once again, that's another issue which I have. It's the unhealthy progression system which we currently have, going back to that point. And now my final complaint is that the bugs truly do ruin the updates. It really does annoy me whenever we receive good updates, but in the end a lot of them just end up being very buggy. Like, I've seen a lot of people report the submarines actually not working correctly a lot of the time, which just causes people to not enjoy the update as much. But yeah guys, for the time being, that's basically going to be everything I have for you guys in today's video. And yes, I am aware that the developers already know about a lot of these issues. However, today I just wanted to give them some extra ideas which might actually help solve the problem in the coming weeks. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much to my channel members, and make sure to join the Discord server. The link is in the description.